Our guest for today. Jeremy McDonald is an international best-selling author, transformational speaker, and spiritual teacher devoted to helping people awaken to their authentic nature and remember the divine wisdom within. Jeremy inspires others to trust their intuition and live from spiritual enlightenment and purpose. Jeremy is the author of The Sovereign Mindset, Unlocking Your Divine Potential, director of the Los Angeles Tribune Speakers Inner Circle, and the founder of the Inner Temple Education Foundation. He empowers audiences to embrace their inner knowing and live with greater purpose, peace, and authenticity. Help me in welcoming Jeremy McDonald to the platform.
I can stand up there. I'll already be more of a giant than I am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? Oh my goodness, we need more energy than that. How's everybody doing? Good. Let's get some spirit moving in here. Am I correct? So I want to start talking about a story that I just started talking about recently a lot more. It's actually in my book, and it's going to lead us into something. So just bear with me for a second. And I want to go back to January 9th of 2012 in my actual life. And so on that day, I had was called, that Raymond Moody says, is a shared death experience with my mother when she transitioned over to the other side. And so I'd been in spiritualism since 1998, but until you have certain experiences, they really solidify how you believe in something. And so on that morning, I was in her hospice room and I was sleeping. It was about 5:30 in the morning, and I'd been holding her hand all night. And so then I decided to move to the couch. And when I moved to the couch, I fell asleep. And then I remembered her saying, Jer. Well, it was her spirit talking to me. And she said, you need to get up if you want to say goodbye. And why this is powerful is because I was acting like a 16-year-old for a second when your mother's trying to get you to wake up to go to school. Everybody with me on this one? You remember those days? And so finally, her actual executive assistant knocked on the door because she used to work. My mother was a manager at hospice, or a nursing supervisor at hospice. And the woman knocked on the door. She wanted to say goodbye. And she woke me up so I could say goodbye. And so anyways, long story short, I spent some time, I laid back down, and then I heard the minister, or not the minister, the nurse, one of the nurses say to me, Mr. McDonald, your mother just passed. But before that, I had felt my body lift out of my body. And I had actually felt the presence of spirit. And you guys know when spirit really comes into the room, you start seeing that white smoky. You guys know what I'm talking about? And it's like spirit in the top of the room. Well, that was all over this room. So then I woke up and I started walking around and just kind of packing things up and brushing my teeth. And I was in the mirror brushing my teeth, and I said, man, Mom, you're not going to see my book. You know, I'm almost done with it. And I hear very strongly, I know what's in that book because I taught you most of the stuff in that book. And I'm like, okay, yeah, true, very true. So I didn't know what that was. And then about a week later, we had her memorial, and then her energy, her spirit stepped into my body and said, this is what heaven feels like. And I got the loss of all pain and anxiety and tension in my body. You guys know about tension in your body, am I correct? Because we all have it a little bit from anxiety. And I felt like I was the drop in an ocean, but I was also the entire ocean. And this is what she said to me. I said, well, Mom, we got to give this to my friends. We got to give it to Damien. We got to give it to Sherry. We got to give these people, all these people that were close to me in my life. And I heard very strongly, this is not for them, Jer. This is for you to experience. So for the next 6 months after that experience, I ended up meeting Dr. Raymond Moody, and he became kind of a mentor to me in a lot of the things I speak about. And he said, well, I think what you had was called a shared death experiences, where you experience the sensation of what they experience and what a lot of NDers feel that they experience. And so why do I tell that story? Well, one thing I've learned is that, yes, we're all separate, and we're also all one. And we can say that with our logical mind, but when you actually experience oneness, then the oneness to where you also know that you're still who you are in this individual life. And even when you step over to the other side, that personality is still a part of consciousness, but it's also here you're also present in your own at the same time. The only difference between here and spirit is they get to feel it on a much deeper level. We can get there too, though. We can get there. We don't have to have shared death experiences or near-death experiences to feel bliss or to feel connected to consciousness, to feel connected to spirit, as most people in this room, I'm preaching to the choir. But what I'm trying to get at here is in the moments when things are getting tough in your life and the world can't figure it out, when people in the world, it's a mess, or there's something going on in your finances, or something going on with this, or your health, or whatever, the immediate thing you want to turn to is spirit and consciousness. And so in the 14 years that my mother's been gone, I've been talked to her many, many times. And one of the things I've learned is this: when a loved one, you start having fond feelings of them, when you start laughing or you start giggling over a memory you have of them, that's them right there with you. They're standing right there with you, because they're almost putting it right in your brain. Hey, remember when we went to all the metaphysical stores all day long, and we had breakfast, and the one particular dream I had about my mother, we were driving around in a 57 Thunderbird, which is her favorite car. When you have those memories, that tells you that they're standing right there with you. Even if you don't see yourself as a medium, those people, those spirits are there with you. What else it taught me is this: the shared death experience and all these major spiritual experiences I've had throughout my life meant really nothing in comparison to who I've become as a person as a result of them. Because what I've learned is that drop in the ocean, anytime my ego comes in where I feel like something didn't work the way my ego thought it should have been, anytime a relationship I thought that they weren't giving what I felt that should be giving to the relationship, those are expectations, and that blocks the flow of energy, of spirit. And you can actually feel it in your body. You can feel it because your body is talking to you at all times. The universe and spirit is talking to you at all times. The only difference is whether we're willing to pay attention. And that's what that experience taught me. And there's a couple other things I want to chat with you about, because I was giving a reading to a woman about 3 months ago, and she looks at me and she says, "Can you teach me how to be a medium?" I was like, "Well, yes." I said, "However, what do you want to use that for? Because you're already a medium. You already have everything that's in you, and there are soul contracts that base us what we want to do in this particular life." I said, "But what if I told you that the universe and the world is always talking to you nonstop?" And she looked at me bewildered. I said, "For example, right over behind you, it says 2:02 on the clock. You have a 4 in your necklace, and then I can see 4 over here and 4 over here. And that leads me to believe and ask you the question, where are you out of balance in your life? Because the 4 corners of the earth and the 4 elements bring balance." Everybody with me on this one? And I said, "Now, was that mediumship or psychic ability or spiritual, or what was it?" And she said, "I don't know." I said, "Doesn't matter, it gives you an answer." And then she automatically started spilling out why she wasn't in balance, her grandkids and her kids, and they weren't listening to what she wanted them to do. And why couldn't they listen? Because she has more age than that. She's been on this planet longer, and she has more wisdom. And I thought, because just like that moment in that shared death experience where my mother said this was just for you, sometimes everybody has their own path. And in spirituality, we talk about letting go so we can allow whatever it is to happen. Am I correct? We talk about this all the time. Now, if somebody's really going to hurt themselves, I'm still going to say something. But the truth is once I've said it, I can't force somebody to do what they don't want to do. And why am I talking about this morning? Because I want everybody to just close their eyes just for a second. And I want you to just feel this energy. We're already in kind of a slow meditative state because we just went through this meditation, but I want you to just take a deep breath in and let it all out. One more time. I'm going to take a deep breath in, but I want you to hold it. Let it all out. And while you're doing that, I want you to start feeling the energy of the room. You could start feeling your energy like tension in your body. There might be a part of your body and resistant to the energy in the room. You might feel totally at peace and relaxed. Some of you might start feeling the pulse of the room. Just be here in quiet just for a second. Breathing. All right. Let's bring you back up. 1, 2, 3, and you're back in the present moment. Who felt that? Anybody feel that energy? You might have felt different parts of it. You might have all had different experiences, and that's okay because you are having an interestingly different experience, but that experience goes back to the entire of consciousness. So did anybody kind of feel the energy, the pulsing of the energy in the room a little bit? The peace in the room, that kind of stuff? That already tells you that right at this moment, your hearts are aligned in spirit. Your hearts are aligned in spirit. Now, who has things that are causing stress in their life right now? Okay? All right. So I want you to just close your eyes. You don't have to do anything deep, but I just want you to close your eyes, open your heart up. And I want you to feel your heart just expanding through this entire temple. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that heart energy and we're going to give an ebb and flow of heart energy between all of us. So Jamie led us through a meditation of letting go. When we let go, that energy goes out to wherever it needs to go, and it may be somebody in this room. And when we receive, when we bring back in, when we breathe back in, we're receiving spirit that we need in this moment. And just feel this. It's the ebb and flow of the universe of spirit coming in and coming out and coming in and coming out. All right, you can open your eyes. Who felt that? So the people that said they had stress in their lives, did you feel yourself relax a little bit? Yes? No? Well, when you can relax your energy, even when you're stressed, it doesn't invalidate the stress in your life. What it's telling you is that I am now embracing the universe of spirit and its ebb and flow. And even though I'm having a stressful time right now, I know that this too shall pass. And what I'm going to gain is greater wisdom from this experience, no matter what it is. And I'm going to get even closer to spirit, because when I invite spirit in, it walks and talks with us and helps us grow as individuals and souls. And that's all done through spirit of the heart. So my book that I just wrote, called The Sovereign Mindset, and I have copies that I'm going to be selling in my class later on today, is this. It was about being in presence, because 13, 14 years after my mother passed away, even though I could talk to her, I felt alone, even though I had great friends around me, because my best friend since I was born was no longer here in the physical presence. Can anybody relate to that? And the interesting part about that is that was an energy of me having to do it and figure it out without mom being there, because she was my spiritual teacher and my healing teacher, and also just my mom. And so to do that without her, who's experienced this, where you've experienced loss and you feel a little lost when they're gone? Okay. Well, I'm bringing this up because you already know in this room that they're here. But what you do is you start feeling that pulse and that energy of spirit. You invite them in. Some healers invite all the archangels in to help them heal. My mother will put her hands in my hands when I'm doing healing work. And so when you invite that energy in, a frequency, you allow yourself to open other people up with your heart. And you realize that you're the conduit for spiritual energy to really help others and bring unity to this planet. And so one of the things I do is I actually spend time every day, and I in my heart, I ask for peace in the planet, in the highest and best good. And why do I ask for the highest and best good? Because like in that moment, in that shared death experience, and I felt like a drop in the ocean, I knew there was an ebb and flow of the universe, because if you go out to the beach, you can see it. Everybody feel the waves hitting the sand and everything else. The universe is telling you everything, and the world is telling you everything. Even here on this physical world, you can see and feel everything that is happening. You can watch the flow of people. Who's ever been in an argument with somebody? Everybody better raise their hand on that one, because I know I don't see any halos out on there. But that in those arguments, you might have stopped and thought about your place in that argument. And then you start to grow from it. And you start to become more self-aware of who you are. And when you become more self-aware, you become more empowered as a spiritual being. And this is a scientific fact. You have an electromagnetic field that surrounds your body. And the more you are in love and act in love, the bigger it gets, the stronger it gets, the more impact it has on the world. But the more you are in fear, that electromagnetic field starts shrinking, and it starts getting smaller and smaller. So you have a choice, and that's what the cool part about this world is. We have choices. You have a choice. Am I going to serve what? Fear? Or am I going to serve love? And it's not about what most people think it is. It's sometimes love is, hey, speaking your truth. And sometimes fear is basically just whatever it is you think is happening, and it's not. It's false evidence appearing real. Everybody remember that phrase? Yeah. So my point of this talk this morning is that this world out there is geared towards sometimes stressing us out. But if we get into the moment of spirit and invite spirit in, even when it's something beyond our control, our physical control, then we step into our divine state and we work in union with other divine entities and beings and spiritual beings. And that is the power you have in this world. So immediately when you have something that you can't control, you immediately go into meditation and you start to ask spirit. And you don't have to be sitting there at an altar. You can do it sitting on your couch. You can do it actually at work. You can do it anywhere. You just take a deep breath in, exhale out, and you say, Spirit, I know you've got me through this. I know this is going to work out in the highest and best good. Notice how I'm not saying exactly what I wanted. I'm saying in the highest and best good. And yeah, there's going to be things that are going to disappoint us. And that's why these emotions, you have all these emotions in your body, and we try to avoid them. And one of the things I'm going to tell you is that mistakes are opportunities for you to look deeper within you. And I haven't ran across a perfect person in this lifetime. And I know I would never want to be perfect, because that's a big weight on your shoulders to have to carry, a burden that you have to carry. However, I do want to practice this spiritual principle of ebb and flow, of knowing that the universe is plotting to do me good, that even when there's things that on the physical world look like it's not working out, that I will turn to spirit to help me grow and help me rise into the highest and best good of who I am. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. You are way more than you think you are. Way more than you think you are. As a soul, you are a giant. And it's time for you to start acting like the giants that you are. And I'll leave you guys with that.